Hey everyone, it's Kai from Kool Collectibles, back again for another review. This time it's a 1/6 scale figure from Sideshow Collectibles with the Commander Luke Skywalker in the Hoth outfit. For all your 1/6 scale figures and more, click the link in the description below to head on over to Sideshow Collectibles. They ship worldwide, so definitely check them out. Alright, just give you guys a quick look at the packaging and all the accessories. So it comes with the standard Star Wars style packaging from pretty much all the manufacturers these days. So you get the photo of the figure on all the sides, which is fairly nice. And with the Sideshow ones, this is just a magnetic clasp that you open up to show the contents and the clamshells on the inside. So nothing too spectacular. And I guess this time they remembered to put the exclusive sticker on there, unlike the R2 figure. But no big deal there. The accessories wise, he comes with 4 pairs of hands. So this one here is I think just the left hand holding the lightsaber, and here's the corresponding right hand version. So nothing too spectacular there. He does come with a pistol holding hand, and they're all fairly softly molded plastic, so plenty of give to get the weapons in there without damaging anything. He comes with a couple of just relaxed hands, and I'm assuming this hand here is when he's reaching out to you know, Ben, after he's been out of the cave. So the paint app's not too bad overall. The molding is pretty good as well with the sort of glove style, but nothing too spectacular. And I do, as always, I do like the fact that they give the wrist pegs on all the hands, and I still don't understand why Hot Toys doesn't do that. The binoculars are pretty nicely done. I guess the paint app is pretty plain, and the weathering on the top here isn't too spectacular, but overall the detail in the mold is pretty good. And you can see the inside there. And I do like the fake leather strap here, which adds a nice little bit of touch of realism. So that's pretty cool. He comes with the lightsaber hilt, which isn't too bad, but I'll just show you. This is the Hot Toys DX07 lightsaber hilt, and you can pretty much tell straight away the difference in detail and paint application. The silver is much smoother and reflective, whereas this is, you can tell it's a bit more of a matte finish, and just doesn't have that sort of sharpness to it. So you can see the sort of red dot and so on, where you can't really tell that sort of detail on the Sideshow version. So I think Hot Toys still wins out on the hilt here. The blaster, sorry about the focus guys, the blaster's not too bad. It does feel a bit small, and when I just pull out the Hot Toys version, you'll see that it is a little bit smaller, but the detail itself is pretty good. I do like all the little detailing here, and the silver wash is pretty good too. But here's the Hot Toys version. And just on top of each other, you can see that the Hot Toys one is definitely slightly larger, and the detailing is probably just slightly better as well, I would say. But you know, I guess it works both ways. Even the Sideshow one's got the little bit of gold paint app detail there, whereas the mold on this one doesn't. But overall, not too bad. Now, I guess I do have a problem with the lit lightsaber though. The hilt is pretty much the same, but you can tell here as I put my hand under it, for some reason they've got this white weird speckled effect all the way through the lightsaber blade. And you know, it's a lightsaber, right? So it's not going to be covered in snow or anything like that. So I'm not quite sure why they added this really weird sort of white speckled effect to it. And if I just grab the Hot Toys blade here, with Luke still holding it, you can see that it's a clear translucent plastic, whereas the Sideshow version, which does appear to be a bit longer, It just has that weird sort of speckled effect to it, and it looks like they've even tried to mimic the Hasbro sort of technique of making the blade down here splay out a little bit, so there's some sort of weird flaming effect. I was never really happy that Hasbro did that with theirs, and looks like Sideshow have decided to do it on theirs as well. But I guess the worst thing for me is that weird sort of white speckled effect to it. But that's the lightsaber. The base itself is pretty. It's probably one of my favourite parts of the set. So it comes with the standard sort of base. So nothing spectacular there, with the Star Wars logo on the bottom. But it comes with these molded pieces, so you can sort of put it on any corner that you want. But I'll probably have it on the front here, just to hide the base a bit better. You just sort of mold it on like so, and then this one is just the other corner, and the paint application is pretty good. I do love the sort of rock paint app there. It does look very realistic, and the snow has the sort of nice blue, sort of whitish blue tinge to it, so that's nice. And it even has a bit of reflective paint in there as well, so not bad overall. And then you just put that on the other corner like so, and that's pretty much the base. Now I guess the other accessories, I guess the biggest point of contention with the figure has always been the head sculpts and the paint app with Sideshow on the head sculpts. But I have to say, this head sculpt and the helmeted one, or the masked one, are probably the best head sculpts I've seen from them for a while. But the exclusive battle damage one is definitely a little bit off for me. But I'll give you a look at this one. Now, people have always sort of complained about Sideshow's eyes. But on this one, I think they've done a pretty fantastic job. Alright, so here, I really do think that has a good likeness to Mark Hamill in Empire Strikes Back. The detailing in the hair, the mold itself is very nicely done, and the paint app's not doesn't have sort of variations in shading, which would have added a bit to the realism, but it's not too bad. But the head sculpt, the eyes, I've seen some eyes, photos of the eyes, and they do seem a little too large in some of the photos, but on mine, in hand, and just as I'm looking through the viewfinder here, it doesn't look too bad at all. And it does have his sort of signature features in the bum chin there, and the moles and so on. So I think the only thing that is lacking for me in this head sculpt, and it's pretty much the same sort of complaint across most of the Sideshow head sculpts, is just the skin texture. So the skin texture, you can tell in the mold itself there is, a bit of pimpling and so on, where they've added that sort of realism, but the paint application just doesn't help bring it out. It's a bit too flat, and there's no sort of variation in color. Now if I just bring the Hot Toys version in, now I guess the DX07 head sculpt was never one of Hot Toys' best head sculpts either. So if you just do a comparison here, let me just swap hands for a second. Alright, so there's the Hot Toys on the right and the Sideshow on the left, and I would have to say, for me, I think the Sideshow one is a better likeness, and I've actually seen people with this hairstyle and so on actually try and reuse this head sculpt for a custom Jedi Luke figure, which does look actually pretty nice. So as you can see, I think you can tell that this resembles Mark Hamill, but you can tell that it is Luke Skywalker, but the likeness just isn't quite there. But for this one it is. But even through this shot here with my pretty terrible lighting, you can see that the paint application for the Hot Toys is a little more realistic. I mean, the Hot Toys one is still pretty flat itself, and so it doesn't have that sort of nice freckling that you see on some of the more recent figures. But it does have a bit of the 5 o'clock shadow, and the eyes themselves look pretty good too. But for me, I'm actually impressed with the eyes on this Luke. They're probably the most realistic eyes I've seen from Sideshow. I'll just grab the recent Commander Wolf, and the eyes there just don't have that sort of realistic sheen to them, whereas I think the Luke here definitely has that realism. So I think if you just sort of see the light reflecting off the eyes there, I think it is a very realistic look. And you know, depending on the angle that you look at his head sculpt here, I think most of the angles I actually see a lot of Mark Hamill in that. As opposed to this one, the battle damage one, the paint application on this one is, yeah, pretty not so great. It would have been nice to have the blood a bit more pronounced, and I think, you know, I guess he did get smashed in the face by a Wampa, but to go from this on the left to this, yeah, I don't think I really buy it. But overall, not too bad. It does include this material soft goods scarf or attachment here, which is not too bad. The molding itself on the head sculpt is pretty good, but again, I guess the paint app and the detailing could have been a little bit better. Now, they do provide 2 of these little radio antennas, and you do have to be pretty exact in how you put it in. I think the little point, the little notch in the mold actually sticks forward, and you just hold it down here. Now, I actually made the mistake of trying to push it down from the top first and bent the tip, and luckily the material just bent and it didn't snap off. So they do provide 2, so one for this sculpt and one for the other sculpt. But this one as an exclusive, I was actually really looking forward to this as an exclusive, but I have to be honest and say I'm pretty disappointed with the way this particular head sculpt turned out. The eyes, again, are pretty good and are consistent with the other head sculpt, but just the likeness and the overall paint app on the skin texture, again, isn't quite there for me. So I'll just grab the figure again and just give you guys a closer look at that. Alright, so here is the figure, and just looking at that in this sort of crappy lighting of mine, I actually think that looks a lot like Mark Hamill, and so I think this head sculpt here is definitely the best one out of the 3, and I think they've done a really good job of integrating some of the features into it. So I'll just show you. So these goggles here are on these are little elastic straps, so you can grab them from the sides here and just gently pull them down and place them over his nose there, like so. And just futz around with that, and just lift it up on the side here, and there you go with him in his goggles. So I think that's a pretty good look as well, and depending on how I choose to pose him up on the Tauntaun, once I get that, I'll probably have that pulled up and him trying to talk on his intercom or something like that, but at least there's the option on that. But just be careful that you don't pull too hard on this and snap that elastic or something. So I'll probably just lift it up and leave it on the hat there, like so. So again, the same issue with the antenna, so just be careful of that. But the facial head sculpt itself, the only thing that's lacking for me is the skin texture again. But looking at the head sculpt at all of those angles here, I think that looks a lot like Mark Hamill did in the movie. And I just did a compare against some photos of him in this costume in the Star Wars costumes book, and they've actually done a really good job with the likeness. So I think the head sculpt itself is the least of the worries about this particular figure. So I'll quickly go through some of the things I don't like, and the first and most immediately obvious thing is the vest. Now, the overall design of the vest is pretty good. I do like the patterning on the stitching and everything, and I think the stitching itself is done very nicely. But the worst thing for me is the color. You know, in the movie, in the Star Wars costumes book, in all of the prototype photos that Sideshow put out, and even on the box art, the jacket here, this vest, is more of a tan color. So even, you know, very close to almost the color of the visor there. And yet in this final release version, the color of the vest here is more closely aligned with his pants. So it's got that sort of dirty grey colouring to it. In the end, it probably doesn't matter all that much, but it's that sort of, you know, attention to detail that really would take this figure to the next level. And I guess talking about attention to detail, it's things like this pouch here, where I think that's his rank badge. In all the prototype photos and so on, the badge was actually pushed all the way in, so you can see the colouring here through the window. But they've actually made the pocket too small, and so the badge actually sticks out at the top. So again, it's just that sort of level of detail that would really take it to almost the sort of Hot Toys level. But the badge on the side here is pretty nice, and overall the material that they've used, I really got to commend them for the material that they've used, because it feels, you know, right up there with the likes of the DX07. Now, the other thing I don't like about the vest is the way it fits. Now, photos that I've seen so far comparing this figure with the Han figure, they've actually made Luke bigger than Han, which I really got to get Han in hand in the next week or so before I make a final call on that. But that's pretty silly for me. And if they did put Luke on a bigger body, that might explain why this vest doesn't fit very well. So they've put two of these clasps, and it just doesn't fit very well. And so you get this sort of splayed open look in his vest there, which isn't great. But one other thing I do like that they've done, Hot Toys uses these clasps as well, these little clips, but Hot Toys continues to keep using plastic ones. Now Sideshow here have done a fantastic thing, and they've used metal clasps. So these little notches here that clip in, you're never going to snap them on these ones, but I've snapped them on the Hot Toys one with my 1966 Batman. I've snapped it on my DX08 Joker's jacket. I think I almost snapped it on my DX04 Bruce Lee, which would have pissed me off no end. But these ones are metal, so definitely kudos to Sideshow for doing that, because just snapping them in place is beautifully simple, and definitely no risk of snapping that little button off. So let me just clasp that back in. It's probably easier doing it the other way. Hold on a sec. Alright, so I clasped them back on. So I'm definitely going to have to try and find a way to see how I can keep that sort of centered instead of splaying open. It would have been nice if they actually had a third button in there, but not much we can do about that now. The belt itself is pretty nicely done with the fake sort of leather material, and it's very similar to the DX07 Luke. So if you have a look at the Luke here, all the detailing and so on is pretty much identical. I can't really tell that much of a difference between the material and the look of the figures. All the detailing in the little silver buttons and so on are very similar, and the belt buckle and so on. So definitely a good job on the belt. And I think you can undo it at the front here with I think it's just on with Velcro, and there's a little magnetic button in there, so you can sort of disassemble everything if you wanted to sort of have a closer look at how the outfit is put together. The pants are a nice sort of a chino type material, and the patterning here is very movie accurate, so I'm definitely happy that they've done that very well. Would have been nice with the boots here if it was a felt material like the DX07, but they've gone with a pretty soft plastic at the top here, but you do get fairly good articulation in the ankles as well, so you can feel that there's a joint in there, and you can get some ankle rocking and you know, tilt motion happening there, so nothing to complain about there. On the arms, I guess I'm not too these little gauntlet areas here are sort of like a grey flat plastic, which doesn't really look that great. So I'm not sure why they went with that sort of material, if that's movie accurate or not. But I guess you know, the detailing here is pretty nice with I think that's his intercom or something like that. But you know, the fists and so on, the hands are pretty easy to swap out as well, so no complaints there. So if I just show you underneath again, just quickly, you can see that the outfit extends on the inside there. So this this whole sort of piece is like a one piece, and I think it looks like there's a tunic or something underneath there. So there are various layers to the costume, and I think they've added a lot of realism by doing that. But that is pretty much it. I'll give you another look at I guess a size comparison with the DX07. So here is DX07. I guess he is in a pose where he's slightly standing forward, so I'll just try and bend the Sideshow's legs a little bit. So you can tell that the Sideshow figure is slightly bigger, and hopefully that doesn't affect the look too much when he's standing next to Han. I think Han charged today, or will be charging in the next day or so, so I should be getting that next week, so stay tuned for that comparison and that review. But up against the DX07, I would say the Sideshow pretty much holds its own, particularly in the head sculpt. I do think this head sculpt is very good, and if it wasn't for some of these issues with the vest, with the colouring and the size, I would probably rate this figure even more higher than I have. So you know, I guess overall a few disappointing things with the figure. The exclusive head sculpt is probably the worst for me, but with the accessories and the stand and I guess the posability of this guy when the Tauntaun comes out, I think if you're a Star Wars fan, then getting this is pretty much a given. And with this head sculpt and the alternate one right here, I don't think you're going to be stuck for any options on how to display the characters. So hope you guys like that look at the new Hoth Luke Skywalker figure from Sideshow. Hope you can click that subscribe button, because I do have the Hoth Han figure coming in soon, and a few other Transformers reviews coming up as well. So hope you can stay tuned for all of that. Thanks again, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Cheers.